Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for our latest workshop that we're doing. Just turning this down a little bit. For our latest workshop that we're doing, obviously, I want to get straight to it. We're here to walk you through cash assistance and filing for unemployment in the middle of this crisis right now due to coronavirus. But, as many of us know that, and what many of us see is that coronavirus has essentially exposed a lot of the existing inequities that we already had in the United States. And that goes from our pay equities, unemployment equities, healthcare system equities, and really what it's done is, as I've said before, is that it's kind of poured gasoline on a lot of these broken systems and set them on fire for everyone all at once. And so if there's anything that we know in this moment, it's that what this moment has shown us is that what we're fighting for is on the right track. We have to make sure that we're establishing single payer healthcare in this system. We have to make sure that there are protections for people who are unemployed. We need to decouple your health insurance status from your employment status. It makes no sense that your employment is the reason why you should have good access to healthcare or not. But all of that, aside, what we really want to do is just make sure that we're here for you. And this is a very scary time for so many of us. Throughout this entire crisis, the only thing that has kind of been, or the main thing that's been on my mind is just 2 years ago, I was bartending in a restaurant. And if this crisis had hit then, I don't know what I would have done. And I certainly know that the policies that have been instituted so far, while some are aimed to be helpful, are just not going to be enough for a lot of people. But that being said, one of the immediate forms of assistance that is available to everyone right now is expanded unemployment insurance. Now, what we just passed in the most recent coronavirus, package is a very dramatic expansion of unemployment insurance for 4 months, just 4 months. So what I really encourage people to do, if you are in a position where you are currently unemployed, or if you are in a position where you're a gig worker or a 1099 worker that has experienced a lot of reduced income, you are now eligible for unemployment. And you're also eligible for unemployment that is expanded, and by that, I mean, not just the amount of people that are covered is expanded, but also the amount of money that you get. Due to the most recent coronavirus package, you are now eligible to receive $600 on top of the existing amount of unemployment insurance that your state offers, which, in New York State, Randy, do you mind telling me what it currently is in New York State? I don't want to misquote the figure.
And $504 is the maximum in New York State, right? Where you can also get 600 plus that.
So really what we're looking at is a significant amount of money, at least when it comes to being able to afford our groceries. Obviously, it's not significant enough to get people through all of their expenses, and that's something that we're fighting for. So the one piece is unemployment, which we'll discuss a little bit later, but the other piece, which I want to start off now, is the direct cash assistance that's going to be available to the majority of Americans that's coming soon. So let's start about that. This is the $1,200, and this is the check for $1,200 that a lot of you are experiencing. So let's go to the next slide. So the first question is, how much of the $2 trillion stimulus will go towards direct money payments to individuals and families? And it's about $290 billion. Let's see. Am I doing this? Okay, sorry, folks. We're trying to work on the slide. I'm not sure if the slide is currently working, but all in all, so basically what's going to happen is that if you make less than $75,000 per year, you will be receiving about $1,200. And one of the most common questions that I get is that, if you're making more than $75,000 a year, what happens to you? It does not go from $1,200 to zero if you're making $75,001. There's going to be kind of a step ladder of money of reduction up to about $99,000 per year. So you can kind of see here, if you're making $0 to $75,000 in this chart, you'll be receiving $1,200. If you make $83,000 a year, you'll get a check of about $800. If you make $91,000 a year, you'll get a check for about $400, and that'll step down until you get to over $99,000, in which those folks will not be receiving an assistance check. Married couples will receive $2,400 if they earn less than $150,000, which is just 75 grand each, and the checks phase out. So basically, each person is receiving that individually, and there's no change if you are a couple. It's just combined if you file your taxes jointly. Let's see. So will you receive money for your children? Yes and no. So yes, in that qualifying individuals with dependent children will receive an additional $500 payment per child. So if you make less than $75,000 per year and you have 2 children under 17, or rather 2 children that are 16 or under, you'll get an additional $500. So if you are a parent of 2 children, you can expect to receive $2,200. Importantly, there are a lot of populations that are left out. And one of the most left out populations are young people, which has been an extreme disappointment. We fought for so much more in this bill because essentially there's this huge gap right now. And as we know, young people are some of the most economically vulnerable, especially when you're just starting off in your life. And what essentially we have in terms of a gap is if you are 17 or older, and you are filed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, there is no cash assistance or additional cash assistance that's offered to that person. So you do not receive a $1,200 check, and you are not counted as that additional $500 towards whoever's counting you as a dependent. So a lot of people are very concerned about this. My personal piece of advice would be that if that's what you filed in 2018 and you have not yet filed in 2019, talk to the person who is claiming you as a dependent and figure out if your personal situation would be better if you all filed separately, or if it ends up still being the best thing to do to file together. So make sure you have that conversation. I don't believe that it's too late to file your 2019 return in the way that you see best fit for yourself and your situation. But if you think that that's a problem, and it's currently a problem, and you have not yet filed your 2019 return, you can fix it by filing your 2019 return as soon as possible. So then there's the next question. When is this money actually coming? So according to the Treasury Secretary, for people who have direct deposit set up with the IRS, you are expected to receive these payments to arrive within a few weeks. So hopefully, from what we're hearing, is that these checks should, and the money that's kind of allotted to you would be directly deposited into your bank account. Directly deposited into your bank account automatically in about 3 weeks. You don't have to do a single thing. Now, if your bank account information has changed, if you're not sure if you have direct deposit set up, or you have any other complication, we are starting to receive guidance from the IRS that they are soon going to open up an online portal where you can update your bank account information if that has changed, or you can give them your information to do a direct deposit. My advice would be to avoid a situation where you are getting mailed a physical check as much as possible, because that, getting mailed a physical check is going to take much, much longer than if you just set up direct deposit with the IRS. Again, you can do that either by filing your 2019 return as soon as possible, or when the IRS opens its portal, you will be able to offer that as well. Another very common question that I get: if I'm retired, will I get a stimulus payment? If I'm on Social Security, if I'm on SSI, SSD, if I haven't filed my taxes, am I eligible for a stimulus payment? The answer is yes. If you are a person in this country, if you are a human being with a Social Security number making less than $75,000 a year, or really $99,000 a year, you will get a stimulus payment. And the question is just about setting up the logistics so that the government can send that money to you. So you are eligible for it. And that will become available to you. So again, keep an eye out for that portal where you will be able to turn over your information, and that deposit can come to you. Or if you're able to, file your 2019 taxes now. If there's anything that's changed since 2018, that can benefit you in getting this money expedited to you. So that's that on the overall stimulus payment portion. Again, we'll be taking questions at the very end, and I'll be running through a couple questions at the end. But now let's talk about the pandemic assistance, which is basically this expanded unemployment insurance program that we are rolling out. So what are the new unemployment rules? Basically, the new unemployment rules is that everyone can file, when you file for unemployment, everyone is eligible to receive an extra $600 per week on top of existing unemployment benefits offered by our state, offered by everyone's state. Our state is the state of New York, where people are eligible to up to $500 per month, roughly. And so you will be receiving an additional $600 on top of that. So if you file for unemployment, you can receive up to about $1,100 in addition to your stimulus payment in unemployment insurance. So if you already qualify for the existing unemployment, which we'll walk through this whole chart, don't freak out if it looks a little complicated, don't worry. We'll walk you through it. But basically there's two pools of people that we're talking about. There are people who have been eligible for unemployment insurance or would have been eligible for unemployment insurance beforehand. And there are people who were not eligible for insurance, basically gig workers, freelancers, 1099s, that were not eligible before, but are now eligible for the additional insurance. So let's start with kind of this green portion on the left. I'll go left to right. If you've already been approved for unemployment benefits, if you, say, for example, applied for unemployment before this package passed, don't worry. If you've been approved, you don't have to do anything except continue your weekly certification, and you will automatically receive that additional $600. Now, going to the next portion, if you are eligible for regular UI benefits, then you can apply for those benefits online at this website. And I would just encourage you, if you are following along with me right now, just take this little screen, put it in a corner, and pull up this website that you see on this screen right now, this labor.ny.gov/sign-in, if it is your last day of the week in terms of your last name. So I'll get into that in a second, but basically in the state of New York, the day that you file for unemployment depends on the last, on the first letter of your last name. And the reason for that is because, as we know, millions of people in the United States are filing for unemployment right now. I know how frustrating this is for you guys because all of these websites are being completely overwhelmed at once. It takes so long. It takes some people hours to file these applications because these websites are crashing. And once again, this is the problem with underfunding our social safety net for so long, because our systems, but either way, our system has never seen a shock like this before. So a lot of us, we have to spend a lot of time on hold and on the phone and online, but please my recommendation would be that this will happen so much faster online than calling on the phone. Please leave the phone for people with disabilities and other accessibility problems, for our neighbors who may have sight difficulties or any other sort of accessibility issue. Let's prioritize those folks for the phone. Online, I know it's a pain in the butt and it requires a lot of refreshing, but I guarantee that it's the faster and most efficient way. So again, if you even just want to do this right now, just do it together. Put this video in the corner and pull up labor.ny.gov/sign in. And you can start this application process right now. You can do it during this live stream, and by the end, you'll have your check set up. So please, I encourage all of you to do it. I know sometimes it's better when we do these things together and when we do it with some like accountability and community. If you're that person, I really encourage you to pull it up. So anyways, if you were traditionally eligible for regular UI benefits, pull up that website, and there will be a little questionnaire about your eligibility. And if you're eligible, you'll be approved and you'll automatically receive that unemployment insurance or PUA benefits for 39 weeks. So not only are there more people eligible, not only are you getting more money than you would have normally gotten, but you're also going to be eligible for longer than traditional unemployment insurance was. And so third, if you are not traditionally eligible for UI benefits, gig workers, Uber, Lyft, drivers, 1099, freelancers, I'm talking to you. If you're not traditionally eligible for UI benefits, you are now eligible to apply for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which is that $600. So I believe the way that the New York system website is set up is that you go through a little questionnaire, and if you go through that questionnaire and they say that you are not traditionally eligible, they will forward you to the PUA assistance website or program. And so if they say that you're not traditionally eligible, it doesn't mean that you were denied. It's just saying that you are now part of this expanded group that is now eligible. So they're going to send you to the proper route so that you can get that resource. So if you're a gig worker, a 1099, a freelancer, just know that there is help and there is assistance for you. So make sure that you apply. And if you get that application, you will automatically receive, again, unemployment or PUA benefits for 39 weeks. Now, lastly, for a different group of people, if you exhausted your UI benefits after July of last year, which traditionally would have been, for some folks, they would have been locked out of this system. They're kind of another group that would not be traditionally eligible for UI benefits. You are now eligible for an additional 13 weeks, about 4 months of additional benefits, and that includes the $600 per week. So if you have been unemployed before this moment, there is still assistance and help for you, because we know that while there are some folks that are hiring, there are a lot of areas that are not. And so that eligibility is now expanded for you too. So let's talk about who doesn't qualify for any unemployment benefits. So these are the groups that are expressly excluded from qualifying from unemployment and benefits. One is if you have the ability to telework with pay, you do not qualify for unemployment benefits. Don't try, don't apply. You have a job, you can get paid. This is really to make sure that we are helping people that are struggling right now. Another is an individual who is receiving paid sick leave or other paid leave benefits from their employer. So if you are getting paid sick leave, if you are basically, unemployment benefits are not designed for people who are employed and have a traditional employer. I don't mean contractors, I don't mean gig workers. I'm saying if you have a boss, if you have an employer, then you are not eligible for unemployment benefits. That's pretty straight up, pretty self-explanatory. It's unemployment assistance is for unemployed people. Who is eligible for unemployment insurance? If you or a member of your household has been diagnosed with COVID-19 or you are experiencing symptoms, you can be eligible for unemployment assistance if you are leaving your job and do not have paid sick leave. If you are caring for a member of your household who's been diagnosed and that is taking you away from work, you are also eligible for unemployment assistance. And I think this is very important to articulate because if, traditionally these leaving your job due to illness or leaving your job due to caregiving could qualify, or an employer would argue that you quit, which would mean that you were ineligible for unemployment assistance. Usually if you quit your job in general, you're ineligible for unemployment assistance. But if you have to leave your work due to a specific COVID-19 diagnosis, then under this program, you are eligible. Again, there are a lot of things that we're fighting for, but in this specific package, if you or a loved one that you are caregiving for have been diagnosed with COVID-19, you are eligible for unemployment insurance. If you have become a major support because the head of household passed away due to COVID-19, you are also eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance. If you are a primary caregiver to a student who cannot attend school because we have closed New York City public schools, you are also eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance, which means that if you have a child who does not have any caregiving while New York City public schools are closed and you have to leave your job to take care of your child, you are eligible for unemployment assistance. So all of these reasons, if you are forced to leave work due to COVID-19 for these specific reasons, you are eligible for unemployment assistance. If you cannot go to work or start a new job because of the quarantine imposed due to COVID-19, if your job is closed due to COVID-19, or if you had to quit your job as a direct result of COVID-19, all of those are now reasons for you to be eligible for unemployment assistance. In the past, these could have been reasons to not give it to you. Now you can receive it. So unemployment will pay more. As we said, it's paying an additional $600 on top of what your state already gives you. What you're seeing with all of these little bars are different states. So you can see on the bottom, on the x-axis, on the left, Massachusetts, they're killing it. They usually offer up to $823 per week in unemployment assistance. Now Massachusetts will go all the way up to $1,400 and $1,423 per week on unemployment assistance. So if anything, this right here is a whole chart as to why we should fight for a stronger safety net, because in these emergencies are essentially rewarding localities that are already taking the best care of their people, but everyone is going to receive the same amount more. Washington, $790, Minnesota, $740, now it's $1340, New Jersey, Connecticut, and now this bright guy here is New York. Normally people would receive up to just $504 per week in unemployment assistance. Now people are eligible to receive up to, about $1,100 per week in unemployment assistance. And that will last for 4 months, and overall unemployment assistance can last up to 39 weeks. That's almost an entire year. So, this is a very difficult time. And just know that this is the assistance that is now available to you if you have lost your job. How long will enhanced unemployment benefits last? I just kind of mentioned this. Many states, including New York, already provide 26 weeks of benefits. We are now adding 13 weeks, another 4 months of benefits. So you are now eligible for about 39 weeks, which is about 9 months. But it could be shorter in other states. So everything that I'm telling you all tonight is quite New York specific. We've got some information that applies to everybody, but what I'm giving you as a representative from New York's 14th Congressional District is particularly New York tailored information. So the $600 federal supplement will last up to 4 months. So unemployment, your state unemployment, goes out to about 9 weeks, but that additional $600 boost lasts only 4 months of those 39 weeks. And it will last up to 4 months, covering weeks of unemployment ending July 31st. The coverage will be available to workers who were newly eligible for unemployment starting on January 27th and through December 31st of this year. So it's not just that unemployment's been expanded for 4 months starting today and it's going to end 4 months from now. It's expanded for you for 4 months between now and December. So if you get laid off, before the end of the year, you will also be eligible. Don't worry. Unemployment again will last longer, so you'll see kind of where that those additional weeks of unemployment last. On the y-axis, we have the states now. Thankfully, again, Massachusetts already adding a lot. It caps out at 39 weeks, so no state will receive more than 39 weeks, more than about 9 months. But New York has done well in terms of the duration of unemployment assistance as well. So filing for unemployment insurance in New York, how do you do it? Who is eligible? If you are fully or partly employed or cannot work, gig, freelance workers, contract workers, almost everyone with a social security number who was employed or gainfully working and is not working anymore at some point is eligible. So that's one huge pool, and it's a big win that we had to be able to expand those who are eligible for unemployment insurance. So what do you need? You need your government issued IDs. You need your phone number, address, documents, and information about your last employer. If you are a gig or freelance worker, I believe that your most recent tax return can be used in lieu of your last employer. And very importantly, the 7-day waiting period has been waived. So you no longer have to wait a week to know if you've been approved or to receive your benefits. And now where to apply? You can also file promptly. I gave that longer URL earlier. You can also just go to ny.gov.id or by phone. Again, do ny.gov.id. It can be frustrating and it's going to take you likely multiple tries, but I guarantee it's going to be faster. Even the slowness of the online portal will be faster than the slowness of the phone portal. And again, that's just because these systems are being completely overwhelmed by a historic event that we have. Again, self-employed, freelance, you are eligible, you're eligible. Does the New York State Department of Labor website provide guidance on how or when to apply? As I mentioned, because the system is being so insanely overwhelmed by right now, they're only accepting applications on certain days based on the first letter of your last name. So if you are A through F, if your last name is A through F, file on Monday. If you're G through N, file on Tuesday. And if you're like me, Ocasio, if you're O to Z, you would be filing today. So you would be filing on Wednesday, today. If you missed your Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, file Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Sunday, it is closed. I would recommend, if you can, file on your last name day. I'm sure the volume might be a little bit less, but of course, try every day that you can try, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or your designated day of the week. Any claim that you file will be backdated to the date that you became unemployed. So let's say you were laid off from work 2 weeks ago and you haven't been able to file for whatever reason or haven't filed yet. If you filed today and were approved, you will get a check that will compensate you for those 2 missed weeks that you did not receive unemployment assistance. So don't worry about that. All of your benefits will be backdated to your date of employment. If you want to file by phone, those hours have been extended from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday, Friday 8 to 6, Saturday 7:30 to 8 p.m. The Claims Center phone number is 888-209-8124. But again, please try the website. Due to the fact that people are social distancing, these phones are slammed. And so please, if you can, keep that traffic off the phone, leave it to people who really, really rely on the phone for deep accessibility reasons, and file on the website. Just go straight to labor.ny.gov/sign-in. Boom, get your ID, get your info, plug it in right there. You can do it again. I encourage you to do it. Pull it up right now. If you pull up this website, you'll see right here this is exactly what you see. So go to the website, you can file your claim. You can make your kind of own newyork.gov account username, set that up, and then sign in. And then if you don't have that newyork.gov ID, there's a box right there that lets you create it. So just make that account and sign into it. All right. Now, let's go through some frequently asked questions. These are the questions that come up most often about unemployment insurance. So let's see. So I was about to start a new job and now I can't get there because of an outbreak. Do I qualify for unemployment benefits? Yes, you absolutely do. I've heard this story a lot. There's a lot of people who were just about to start a new job. They even got an offer, they got a start date, they signed their papers, and then all of a sudden their employer never called them back. You are eligible for benefits. I lived in a household where the sole breadwinner had passed away as a result of COVID-19. Are you eligible to receive unemployment benefits? Yes. Even, I believe, even if you are working, if your head of household has passed away due to coronavirus, you are also eligible for unemployment benefits on top of that. What if my child's school or daycare shut down? Once again, if you have to leave your job because schools have shut down and you now have to take care of your child, all day, you are eligible for unemployment assistance. Will income from unemployment benefits disqualify me from any other program? This is an issue that we were fighting tooth and nail on. So the answer really is yes and no. It's maybe. The additional $600 benefit counts as income when determining eligibility for certain means-tested programs, except for Medicaid and CHIP. So, unemployment benefits will not disqualify you from Medicaid, and they will not disqualify you from children's health insurance, but it could imperil WIC, SNAP, and other programs. This is something that we fought against. We fought really hard to make sure that that it would not count people out, but unfortunately, we fought for a lot of things. We fought for rent and mortgage moratoriums. We fought for payment suspensions. We fought for interest freezes, and the administration stripped all of these protections out, and this was one of them that they had stripped out as well. So aside from that, I just want to say thank you so much. That's kind of the extent of our walkthrough tonight. Now I'm very excited to answer any additional questions that you all have. And thank you for sticking us through. And I just want to take this moment to also have us recognize that unemployment is a huge emotional and mental, takes a huge emotional and mental toll. And I want to make sure that people are very conscious of that and cognizant of that. This is not just an economic issue. It's an issue of health. It's an issue of stress. It's an issue of mental health. And so if you are going through it right now, please make sure that you know that there's a lot of hotlines out there to help you talk through these issues as well. And if you need additional assistance, we're here for you. And make sure that you don't know that you're not in this alone. There are millions of people, just 3.3 million people applied for unemployment in just this past week alone. And as time goes on, we're going to have to really make sure that we come together and be there together. So if you're on this call and say you if you have the blessing of not experiencing unemployment right now, make sure that you're checking in on your friends and loved ones regularly on those that are, and don't be afraid to extend a helping hand, because really at the end of the day, we are all in this together. And what our campaign is about, but really what our community is about overall, is making sure that we leave no person behind, even when times are hard. So with that, I would just want to go to some live questions that you all have in the chat. And I hope that this has been helpful for you all, and I wish you all the very, very best.
Well, thank you so much, Alex, for that. That was amazing presentation. I'll start it off with one question that we got, and you can pop up the Q&A button on your computer, and you'll see questions too. You can choose.
Great.
We'll bounce it off that way.
Sure.
There's a question here. Is the $1,200 payment a one-time payment?
So the answer is yes, and it's not enough. I'm telling you right now, and as you probably already know, $1,200 in New York City is not enough. We fought for recurring payments. In fact, what we fought for was $2,000 per person, in addition to more monthly recurring payments. If you have children, and on top of it, on top of that payment, if you have children, recurring for everybody. And again, the Trump administration and Mitch McConnell's Senate and the Republicans absolutely refused to entertain the idea of recurring payments. But this is something that we're going to continue to fight for, because it's what we need. So Randy, do you want me to go through some of the Q&A here?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Sure. So someone says, last question, my brother is a paramedic who earned $103,000. Is he entitled to receive cash assistance? If your annual gross income, your AGI on your most recent tax return. And so here's what I'd say. The first question is, did he earn that in 2018? If that's what he earned in 2018, and 2018 is his most recent filed taxes, if he filed 2019, if he already filed 2019 and that's there as well, then unfortunately he is ineligible, which is why I fought against the means test, because as we know, New York City experiences a completely different cost of living than the rest of the country. And in a lot of other parts of the country, $103,000 buys you everything. It gets you a house, it gets you a beautiful, standard of living. But in New York City, if you have kids and you're making $103,000, and let's say you are supporting other people in your family and you're a sole income earner, that $1,200 helps you. But unfortunately, again, the way that this administration decided to handle this, if your annual gross income, your AGI on your most recent tax filing has you at $103,000, you are ineligible. You've been phased out. But if there's an adult in your brother, if your brother is married, or if there's another adult in that household that does not make it, they will receive it and they are eligible. Next up. I am a teacher in public school that serves recent immigrants. Many of our undocumented families' fear is that 90-day moratorium on eviction may not protect them. Is this true? What should they know about this? Do not allow this moment to spread disinformation and put more fear on top of the existing legitimate fears that our undocumented neighbors have. So I'm pleased to announce that that the 90-day eviction moratorium covers everyone. All of the housing courts in New York City have been shut down. So a landlord cannot take you to court. That being said, sorry if you hear a snore, there's Deco here who's joining me. I'll bring him on at the end of the call. But basically, and Deco's my puppy, by the way. But basically what we're experiencing right now is that this 90-day eviction moratorium, no one is going to be taken to court, and there will not be public resources used to evict people from their homes. Now, that's not to say that there are not abusive landlords. There are abusive landlords that exist in the city that try to leverage a person's documentation status as a way to extort them, where basically they will say, if you don't, I'm going to suddenly raise your rent, or I'm going to suddenly ask you for a cash advance, or if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to call ICE on you. If you know someone in that situation, call my office and we will go bulldog, because that is wrong. It's a violation, it's a potential violation of the, I believe, Equal Housing Act. And we need to make sure that people are not being extorted and abused due to their documentation status. When self-employed people or independent contractors are filing for unemployment, who do you list as an employer? Do you list your own EIN, TIN, or do you list the EIN, TIN of yourself or your business? This is an excellent question. When you start going through the unemployment process, make sure you have your most recent tax filing with you. And when you have your most recent tax filing with you, when you go through the form, it's possible that the new PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which now covers you if you're self-employed or a freelancer, they will ask you for a couple of pieces of information from your most recent tax filing, and you just plug that in and they'll be able to circle back with you. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to answer live here. If I'm still working 16 hours at work at a part-time job, do I qualify for any kind of UI? Randy.
That's a very good question. It depends. It depends. The law says if you are now partially unemployed due to any of those reasons, you do qualify. So if those 16 hours were what you were working always previously, you aren't. But if you were maybe working 24 hours before and now 16, that would qualify as partially.
Yes. So like Randy said, the answer is maybe. It depends. If your hours have been cut, you qualify for unemployment. If you've always been working 16 hours and your hours have not changed, you do not qualify. The stimulus check is based on net adjusted gross income after all deductions like 401k, medical. So the stimulus check is based on your AGI, is not your, the stimulus check is based on your adjusted gross income, correct, Randy?
Yep, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the slide again because it's a good to explain it.
So we've got a slide for this ready for you all, so we're just pulling it up. But yes, stimulus checks are based on your AGI. So what is your adjusted gross income? So your AGI is, you can go through all of this calculation. It's your gross income minus adjustments to income, but basically just go to your tax form. If you have your 2018 or 2019 filing, the most recent one, it's that little box. It's box A8B, correct? If you have a 1040.
Yes. Yep.
So you can go through your whole filing, just pull up 8B, and that number tells you if you are eligible or not.
And that's 8B if you have a 2009, if you filed 2019. If you filed last year, and that's the one you're going off, it would be line 7.
Okay, so if you filed 2018, it's line 7. If you filed 2019, it's 8B. So 2018 is line 7, 2019 is 8B. And that's the magic number that tells you if you're under the 75 or under the 99 or not. So this one, here's a tangential question, but I want to kind of answer it a little bit quickly. How could freelancers receive anything under the PPP? So what is PPP? PPP is the Payroll Protection Program. That's a separate program apart from unemployment assistance. That's the forgiveness of small business loans. Freelancers and self-employed people are also eligible for that program. That is a whole separate conversation, and we're actually planning a separate webinar for small businesses in our district and in New York in how to cover the payroll protection program and the forgivable student loans that are going to be extended to small businesses. That's a whole separate workshop. And I want to make sure that I dedicate at least an entire hour to you guys, the small business owners that are trying to keep people on payroll. So we're going to announce that date soon. Know that you are eligible, and we're going to go through a whole walkthrough on how you apply for that program.
Hey, Alex, we're getting a lot of comments also coming in still about inability to access the unemployment insurance office. I know you talked about it, but could you talk about it again, of the frustration going on with that?
Sure. So some of you are having to take hours to apply for unemployment. So this is basically the issue, and this is what we've been talking about, is that for this entire time, we have been fighting back against the defunding of our social safety net. And just like how our healthcare system is being slammed right now, and there's no reason for it, the same thing that is happening to our unemployment system. And that's because we have basically pursued this, a lot of politicians have pursued this austerity agenda of defunding our social safety net over years. And what happens is that our system gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And then when something like this hits, when this pandemic hits, things hit the fan. Nurses can't get PPE, unemployment websites get overloaded. And so I want to let you all know that I see you and I hear you. This unemployment website is run by the state government. I'm a federally elected official, so my job is to get money to the state, and the state's job is to disperse it efficiently. But also what's happening right now is a completely unprecedented historic event. We have not ever had 3.3 million people apply for unemployment in 1 week in pretty much recorded history. We have not seen a shock like this to our system. Aside from the Great Depression, we have not been on a trajectory like this ever. And so because it happened so suddenly, these websites are not prepared. And what it means, honestly, and unfortunately, what it means is that if you have to apply, you have to stick at it. It's not going to, likely it may not be an easy process. I was just talking to, one of our most powerful community members on the Bronx side, Rosa Clemente, and she was going through this process and trying to apply for someone or for herself. And she started at around 10 a.m. Or 9:30 in the morning. And she had to keep trying until about noon. And so it took her several hours trying on that website. She did apply on the day associated with her last name. So my first recommendation is everyone's trying to apply on the procrastinating, or I shouldn't say that, but everyone's trying to apply on the unassigned days, or a lot of people are trying to apply on the unassigned days, which is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those are probably the hardest days to apply. So I really, really encourage you, if you're trying to get this done, stay at it Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But if you can't get it through on those days, which I imagine have very high volume, try to apply on either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, whichever day is affiliated with your last name. So really try to hang in there on the date of your last name. But I'm telling you that I hear you and I see you, and these websites are completely overwhelmed right now. And that's why we just got to hang at it, because we've literally never had a scenario where 3 million people applied for insurance at the same time. It is absolutely unprecedented. And let this be a moment for us, let us remember this moment, because this is not just a one-time emergency. It's always been an emergency. It's always been a problem. And now that everyone is crushing these systems at once, the problem has been expanded and amplified and mushroomed, but these problems are not new. They're just scaled up for the whole world to see. And we need to make sure in the future that we both fight and continue to support policies and agendas that don't abandon our social safety net. Because the problem that we have right now is that for years, politicians have been arguing that healthcare isn't a human right, that unemployment insurance is too generous or isn't a right. And so as a consequence of that, as a consequence of years of defunding, now this thing hits and a lot of people are caught out there, and these systems are caught unprepared. So that's the moment that we're in. It's a huge problem and we need to fix it. And that's why we fight for what we fight for in Congress. But hang in there. That's my main encouragement to you. Hang in there. It may take hours and it's crazy frustrating, but it's our only recourse right now.
Thank you. That was good. Really good update and important information about how everything's changing and evolving. We're seeing in the chat too, a lot of people are ahead of the game and already applying for this, which is great. And in New York State, you do technically have to finish your unemployment benefit application via a phone call with a physical human.
Oh, okay.
And that's the process. But the governor recently said that they're trying to bypass that process. And it's evolving every day. And there's frustration on that end with the backups with the phone calls. And until there's an update there, they will continue to be. We have a really good question and really cool that we have a lot of folks from the 32BJ community in here. And Shay Barry says, I am a fast food organizer for SEIU 32BJ. Will you allow Chipotle Mexican Grill to be given a stimulus bailout without a guarantee that these funds provide better paid sick leave, paid time off, better health care, better wages, and a comprehensive financial relief plan for COVID-related issues?
So as many of you saw, I was hooting and hollering on the floor of the House last week because these giveaways to these major corporations are far more generous than what people are giving small businesses, but B, in a lot of respects in terms of the amount of money that we're spending and so on. And B, there isn't enough accountability given to these corporations. And so first of all, to the person that's asking this question, Randy, what's this person's name?
Shay Barry.
So first of all, Shay, I want to thank you for your organizing and thank you for recognizing your power and using your power to apply pressure. Because if any corporation, and that includes Chipotle, is taking money from the public, from our public funds, from you, then they should be meeting a higher standard of taking care of our people. And that includes paid sick leave for everyone. That includes capping CEO pay. That includes that includes treating employees better. It includes a living wage. And I think it's ridiculous that we allow these companies to get away with all of this stuff when we're the ones that are funding their continued survival with a bailout. So it definitely requires a renewed public contract. I'm sad to say. So first of all, as you all know, I spoke my opposition to this bailout on the floor, but it's really important that I think that if I am not your representative, and if you have a different member of Congress that's representing you, it's really important that you voice your opposition to these bailouts, because the reason a lot of Democrats, I think, vote for these bills is because they're scared of what will happen if they don't vote for them. And they're scared that their community won't understand why they voted no to a relief bill. And if you make it clear that you know that this isn't a fair shake, then it'll kind of stiffen their spines a little bit more to join us in opposing these bailouts. So that's my encouragement there. And join us. Thank you for that organizing. It's so needed. It's so badly needed.
And in the interest of time, to wrap up, we've been also getting a lot of comments on whether or not undocumented folks qualify for the new unemployment benefits, where you speak to that, right? Yeah.
Yes. So this is a very important question. So this administration in the negotiations on this bill basically said that anything for immigrants is a non-starter. And we fought so that both the cash assistance and the expanded unemployment can apply to anyone with an ITIN, which is how undocumented people pay taxes. Yes, undocumented people pay taxes. Undocumented people pay billions of dollars in taxes every year. We send our kids to public school on the taxes that undocumented people pay. We pay police officers and firefighters and nurses and fund our hospitals and fund our infrastructure on taxes that undocumented people pay. Undocumented people pay more money in taxes than Amazon or Facebook or anything combined. So yes, I believe that if you pay into this system, then you should benefit from this system. That being said, as much as we fought for it, Trump and McConnell and the GOP and all of these folks basically said it was a non-starter. They would veto any bill that benefits undocumented people. So there is not cash assistance for the undocumented. You have to have a social security number. So if you are an immigrant with a social security number, you will receive benefits. But if you are undocumented with an ITIN, you will not receive federal assistance. Now, that is not to say that you are not eligible for any help at all, because certain state managed programs, like the existing unemployment assistance program, not the additional 600, but the existing unemployment assistance program, there may be room there. Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, some of these state covered programs have wiggle room for undocumented people, because again, you pay state taxes and transaction taxes as well, sales tax. So, so some of these state programs are eligible for you if you are undocumented, but what just passed in the CARE Act very cruelly cut out undocumented people, despite the fact that they pay into the system just as much as anyone else.
We can't thank you enough, Congresswoman, for this. Before I give it away to you to close us out, just want to thank all of our audience members and engaging panelists on the Zoom call. The questions were amazing. We will be following up with everyone with answers, with this video, with that PowerPoint, and hopefully engaging with you all moving forward. Before you give it away, can we see Deco? Any chance?
Oh yeah, that's right. He's taking a nap right next to me. So like I said, being unemployed is a very hard financial and also emotional toll. And even if you are employed right now, just the stress of this pandemic is a lot. I know a lot of you are parents that are also working from home and also having to take care of your kids, which means you went from having one job to 2 jobs simultaneously. So I feel for you. Anyways, all of that is to say, hey, bud. We had to wake him up from his nap. He was just asleep, so that's why he's such a funny little, that's why his face looks so funny right now. Hey, bud, so here's Deco helping you all out. And we hope he lifts your spirits a little bit. And, you know, just know that we're with you in this moment and in this time. If you need any help at all, if you are having challenges, make sure you connect to the resources that we link you with in this problem. And if you have any other additional issues, particularly as it relates to any federal agency or problem, please call my office and we are happy to take up your case. And there's Deco. Say bye, bud. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.